Astăzi o să discutăm despre felul în care arată România privită din exterior. Iată despre ce este vorba.
Delegația oficială din Parlamentul European a vizitat Salina Turda. Europarlamentarii au fost fascinați de ce au găsit în subteran.
Is it interesting?
Yeah, because it worked. And it was, we talked today about ICT and about new technology. But in these times, it was really very creative to bring forces over by a horse, as I understood. So we go back in time and let's keep it. It's cultural heritage, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like it. We don't have it in the Netherlands like this.
Do you enjoy it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I visited a salt mine recently in Colombia, in Bogota, but this is much more interesting because it shows the historical elements of the salt mine and the miners, how they worked here, and it's really interesting. It's amazing.
În Salină sunt amenajate locuri de joacă, zone de sport, un carusel, dar și un lac pe care turiștii se pot da cu barca.
Over there it's a lake and you can see the boats.
Yes. Unbelievable.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I like it. It's really brilliant, very impressive, and for me it's also interesting, this roof and the mazes. It's great. It's really great.
Salina Turda a fost modernizată cu fonduri europene, iar acum este una dintre cele mai mari atracții turistice ale României.
Very nice also the way it's constructed with wooden materials. The silence, of course, now it's making a great impression. So I can imagine it's a really favorite tourist destination.
Cred că am putut simți cu toții cei din România foarte impresionați, pentru că, într-adevăr, ceea ce avem aici la Salina Turda este cu adevărat impresionant și este bine de precizat că, din câte știu eu, este prima investiție făcută cu fonduri europene în această zonă, în această regiune și cu atât mai mult, iată, ceea ce văd aici demonstrează o dată în plus că frumusețile naturii au putut să fie puse în valoare cu ajutorul fondurilor europene.
Today here with me in the European Parliament are Constanze Krell. Thank you so much for your presence.
Hello.
And Matthias van Wiltenburg. Thank you so much for your presence. You've been to Romania. We've seen each other there. What is your second, I guess, impression? You're on the second time in Romania, if I'm not third, fourth. That's great. What's your impression about Romania then?
It was I think the fourth time that I'm in Romania, but it was the first time that I was in northwest of Romania, and I thought about Transylvania and Dracula and maybe dark mountains and so, and I found Cluj a city, a very young city with a lot of universities and high schools, and I learned that this is really a potential for the development, economic and social development in whole Romania. It was really positive surprised.
Was it your first visit to Romania?
Yes, actually it was my first visit, but I was also very charmed by the country and its people. I was, to be honest, amazed, positively surprised by the many people we've met speaking in a perfect English. I already made a statement during the trip, but I thought it was really perfect because it's also illustrating how well skilled the talented Romanians are. So, I really loved the visit. I think it was very useful also for the Regi Committee, and I was so enthusiastic that I already planned to go back to Cluj in a couple of weeks.
That's great. We are waiting for you in Romania. Speaking in terms of European investments, what have you found in Romania? Good investments, good way of putting money into some places or not? And be honest, please.
Yeah, we were very interested to see what's happening in Romania because the money was not absorbing in the last years, and we learned that it's really started only in August of this year. And that's why it was really interesting to see what was happened in the past and what is planned for the future. And we saw really good and interesting projects. I was really very surprised to see a technology park and research park with a young man who gave us the introduction and where we can see that it's really going in this direction what we wanted to do in the European Parliament, to develop new technologies, to support startups from young people, but also to give the possibility for investment from foreign countries or other Romanian companies to come to Cluj, to come to this region. And I think that was really, really good.
What do you think? It was a good use of money, Mr. Miltenburg, or not in Romania?
It's difficult to reply to that question with just one answer. What I've seen is that there's still a lot of red tape and that we should cut away. There's a lot of administrative burdens in the programming of European money. Not to mention that sometimes I have the impression that we need to boost the decentralization of policies in Romania because too much is centralized and dealt with at not at the local or regional level, but at the national level by national governments. And if we found out the success of many of the regions that are well doing in Europe, then it's that we should grant the power of making decisions to the local and regional stakeholders that are involved. So I was impressed by a very dynamic mayor of the city of Cluj, Mr. Emil Boc. He's really willing to make something out of his territory, of his surrounding villages, to stick together, to team up. And there you see that they are boosting the local development, that you see all kinds of business parks, you see all kinds of private initiatives in relation to research. You see that SMEs can be strengthened, and in the end, that creates jobs and growth in Romania. But I still think there's a lot of things to do. It's for sure, after the visit, that for me, the statement we always make in this parliament, that investments and investment policy goes hand in hand with structural reforms, is highly illustrated in your country, in Romania. And now we have the tools also to provide you the necessary assistance to make these kind of reforms. So I think, well, the way is open to deal with it, also to make more use of money, of expertise, and in the end, to create more well-being, welfare for the Romanian people, because that is in the end at stake.
I've seen a lot of people asking you, both of you, during your visit, what do you advise us to do in Romania? How do you advise us to take much more funds in our regions in Romania?
I think the Romanian people have a lot of ideas what they can do, but...
the bureaucracy is the problem?
Yeah, but I think one problem is the bureaucracy on the one side, but also the not very well prepared administration sometimes. It is very difficult, and I have learned that it's difficult to develop a public administration, even on the local or on the regional level, because the payment is not so good, and after the education and after getting the professional skills, they could leave. And this is a problem we have not only in Romania, but also in other Eastern European countries, and there we should be ready to give a more flexible support if it is necessary to the local and regional authorities, also from the Commission. I think there is already a system which is available, but maybe it is also too bureaucratic for Romania or for the regions. I think there we can do something. And of course, we try to simplify the whole procedure. I'm in the moment in the negotiation with the Council and Commission on the so-called omnibus procedure to simplify the whole financial regulation in the European Union. And that's why we can, if we are successful, we can also simplify the administration of the cohesion policy.
But if I may perhaps add, it's not about more money. It's about the proper balance between finding the money, the allocations that have been made already, and the absorption of the money. And this is really a huge problem in Romania. I've been informed by the European Commission that probably this year Romania will lose 500 million euros because of projects that are ready but are not financed simply because there's no alignment between local, regional and national authorities, because there's too much bureaucracy. And this, of course, for me is really troublesome, because how do I have to explain my voters back in the Netherlands, but also elsewhere in Europe, that we have reserved the money, that we want to help Romania, but because of bureaucracy, red tape, we cannot use the money, and then, well, the principle, use it or lose it, will apply in the end. So this is really anticipating discussions on the future of the EU budget, I think, in a false way. And it will not be to the benefit of the Romanian people if the national government close the eyes on the loss of 500 million euros. And to be honest, I was really surprised by the Romanian minister that was in charge of European funds, that was more or less giving a good news show, not opening the eyes that there's really something big at stake now for Romania. We want to help Romania to get the progress in Europe like other member states already had. But, well, you of course need to spend the money in a correct way and to add European value by implementing projects, by investing in the correct things. Else you will probably lose a lot of money after 2020. And this is really a main political topic, and I have the impression that's also, let's say, the reason I want to invest more in relation to Romania. I think we need to deliver some wake-up calls from the European Parliament to the Romanian government. And it was an idea during the trip to invite the Romanian minister to come here, together with the Commissioner, Mrs. Crețu, and to explain what they will undertake to absorb the necessary European funding for good projects. And if they need, of course, flexibility from our side, we are always willing to help. But I think in the end, everything starts in Romania, and they have to do the job themselves, the ministers.
Yeah, Romania is something like a key country for the future cohesion policy. If Romania can't absorb most of the money, then we have really problems for the whole future of cohesion policy. That's why we are interested both that we have a better absorption, but it's also true we can simplify the procedure, but the national government in Romania has to simplify the procedure as well. Of course, in a legal way, of course, but there's also bureaucracy on the national and regional level.
What have you learned, and that's my final question for you both, what have you learned from the Romanian lesson, let's say, here at the European level in terms of European funds?
I learned first that we have a young generation in Romania and they are ready to deal with Europe. They are pro-European. I never saw so many pro-Europeans like in the northwest of Romania. It's good to know because, for example, in my regions, we have in the moment a small problem with anti-European parties. But to see this, to see they are well educated, that the infrastructure improved a lot, and that they really want to take the things in their own hands. That is, I think, one of the most important issues, to have good results in the future regional policy. And the ideas are modern. It's not investment in the past, it's really investment in the future, and I think that's the right way.
Mr. Miltenburg.
Yeah, I think it was already said by my dear colleague. I think Romania has really a gifted, talented population. And with the help of Europe, with the proper spending in Romania, the right investments, I think we can really bring the jobs and the growth we're always talking about here in Europe. And sometimes I think those are just empty words. But when I was there and I see the enthusiasm on the European project, on the cooperation, on the willingness to bridge differences between different parts of society, between different, let's say, MEPs from different states, all working with the same objective, and that is to help Romania, because helping Romania will in the end also help Europe.